James Garner was born James Scott Bum Garner on April 7, 1928, in Norman, Oklahoma, far from the lights and privilege of Hollywood. His childhood was marked by hardship during the Great Depression, compounded by the loss of his mother at a young age and a difficult relationship with his stepmother. These early experiences shaped a resilient, self-reliant personality that later became central to his screen presence. Garner left high school early and eventually joined the U.S. Merchant Marine near the end of World War II, followed by service in the U.S. Army during the Korean War, where he earned 2 Purple Hearts. Those years instilled in him a deep respect for discipline, teamwork, and authenticity. Unlike many stars of his era, Garner never romanticized fame. He carried himself as someone who had seen real struggle and danger, and that quiet realism translated naturally to the characters he played. His life before acting grounded him in a way that audiences instinctively trusted and admired. Stardom by accident and the birth of a new kind of hero, Garner's path to acting was anything but calculated. After brief stints in modeling and commercials, he studied at the Pasadena Playhouse, though he often joked that he learned more by doing than from formal training. His breakout role came in 1957 with the television western Maverick, where he played Brett Maverick, a charming gambler who relied more on wit than violence. At a time when television cowboys were typically stoic and severe, Garner's relaxed, humorous approach felt revolutionary. Audiences connected immediately, and the show became a hit almost overnight. Maverick wasn't just a role. It reshaped the Western genre by allowing vulnerability, irony, and intelligence into a space dominated by machismo. Garner's performance demonstrated that strength didn't have to be loud or aggressive. His sudden rise to fame didn't change his demeanor, though, and those who worked with him noted that he remained approachable and respectful, treating acting as a job rather than a pedestal. From television star to film-leading man, after leaving Maverick due to contract disputes with Warner Brothers, Garner transitioned seamlessly into film, proving his versatility across genres. In The Great Escape, 1963, he played a clever, resourceful Allied prisoner of war, bringing warmth and ingenuity to an ensemble cast. The following year, the Americanization of Emily showcased his ability to blend romance with sharp anti-war commentary, standing confidently opposite Julie Andrews. Garner moved effortlessly between drama, comedy, and action, appearing in films such as Grand Prix, Support Your Local Sheriff, and later Murphy's Romance, which earned him an Academy Award nomination. What set Garner apart was not just charisma, but consistency. Directors knew he would arrive prepared, respect the crew, and serve the story rather than his ego. He never chased trendiness, instead building a career rooted in reliability and subtlety, qualities that earned him lasting respect within the industry. The Rockford Files and The Power of the Everyman. Although Garner enjoyed major film success, his most enduring role came in the 1970s with The Rockford Files. As private investigator Jim Rockford, Garner portrayed a character who felt refreshingly real, flawed, financially strained, and more inclined to negotiate than fight. Rockford wasn't a superhero. He was an everyday man navigating moral gray areas with intelligence and humor. Garner appeared in nearly every scene, carrying the show on his shoulders, and his performance earned him an Emmy Award in 1977. The series became a benchmark for character-driven television, influencing countless detective shows that followed. Behind the scenes, however, the workload was punishing. Garner performed many of his own stunts while dealing with chronic knee and back pain, pushing himself far beyond what most actors would tolerate. His commitment reflected his belief that professionalism meant showing up fully, even when the cost was personal. A man of principle in a complicated industry, despite his affable screen image, Garner was known to be deeply principled. He valued fairness, honesty, and collaboration, and he struggled in environments where ego outweighed respect. Over the years, he encountered fellow actors whose working styles clashed with his own. Rather than framing these experiences as personal animosity, Garner described them as differences in values. He disliked unnecessary competition, on-set manipulation, or behavior that disrupted the collective effort of filmmaking. In his memoir, The Garner Files, he reflected candidly on how fame often amplified insecurity in others, leading to tension rather than teamwork. Garner believed that acting was a shared endeavor and that no performance justified mistreating colleagues or crew. His critiques were less about personalities and more about professionalism. For him, integrity mattered more than acclaim, and that belief guided his career decisions long after he no longer needed to prove himself. Private life, public restraint, and a lasting marriage. While Garner was beloved by audiences, he guarded his private life fiercely. He married Lois Josephine Fleischman Clark in 1956 after just 16 days of courtship, a decision that defied Hollywood expectations. Their marriage lasted nearly 58 years, enduring separations, health struggles, and the pressures of fame. Lois brought stability to Garner's life, and he often credited her as his emotional anchor. Together, they raised 2 daughters, including Greta Gigi Garner, who later became an author and animal rights advocate. Garner embraced fatherhood with the same quiet devotion he brought to his work. Even during periods of separation, he was clear that distance stemmed from exhaustion and physical pain rather than a lack of love. Their relationship was built not on glamour, but on mutual respect, humor, and loyalty, qualities that mirrored Garner's broader approach to life. Stepping away to preserve health and dignity. By the late 1970s, the physical toll of the Rockford Files became impossible to ignore. Severe arthritis, chronic pain, and relentless production schedules forced Garner to confront his limits. Rather than pushing himself to collapse, he made the difficult decision to step away, prioritizing long-term health over short-term success. This choice reflected his refusal to be consumed by the industry even when it rewarded him handsomely. Garner never resented the work. He resented systems that treated people as expendable. His temporary separation from Lois during this period was part of a broader attempt to regain balance and peace. When they reunited in 1981, it was without spectacle or public announcement. Their reconciliation was private and intentional, reinforcing Garner's lifelong belief that what mattered most happened off-screen, far from applause and headlines. Later roles and quiet emotional power. In the later decades of his career, Garner chose roles that emphasized warmth, reflection, and emotional depth. Films like Space Cowboys, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, and The Notebook introduced him to younger audiences who responded to his understated sincerity. In The Notebook, his portrayal of an aging man holding on to love and memory resonated deeply, adding poignancy to the film's romantic core. Garner didn't seek reinvention. He refined what he already did best. His performances carried the weight of lived experience, making even simple moments feel authentic. Colleagues continued to praise his generosity on set and his refusal to indulge in celebrity excess. For Garner, longevity wasn't about staying relevant. It was about staying true, choosing projects that aligned with his values rather than his resume. Death, legacy, and enduring respect. James Garner passed away on July 19, 2014 at the age of 86, just weeks before his 58th wedding anniversary. His death marked the end of a career defined not by scandal or excess, but by consistency, humility, and quiet excellence. Lois Clark Garner lived 7 more years, passing away peacefully in 2021 at age 98. Together, they represented a rare Hollywood partnership, rooted in endurance rather than spectacle. Garner's legacy lives on through his work, which continues to feel timeless because it was never performative. He believed that actors were craftsmen, not icons, and that respect was earned through behavior, not billing. In an industry built on illusion, James Garner stood out by being real, a man who valued decency over dominance and substance over showmanship.